Now in the midsize sedan market, there are tons of offerings, but maybe nothing like you see here. Hey, and welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now this week, we get behind the wheel of the 2015 Subaru Legacy. Now they've redone it, remastered it, re-perfected it, because really the Legacy is just that, a long-standing vehicle in the Subaru line. Now what we're going to do is dive inside this vehicle, give you some of the specs to really kind of diagnose its overall size and what it brings to the market. Now for 2015, there are some subtle redesigns on the exterior, the most notable really being a 10% improvement on the overall aerodynamics. Now when you look at the profile, it's pretty much still stereotypical from last year, but really the biggest difference being up here in the front windshield. Now what they did is actually took the lower portion and moved it about 2 inches forward. That's going to improve that aerodynamics, give you better fuel economy overall. Now with that, they actually had to redesign the door here, actually putting a lower window partition about in this area. One other thing you'll notice is the mirrors here actually been moved from the body to the door, giving you better visibility overall. Now as you sweep around to the front, we've got a lighter hood for 2015, and this whole front assembly is now one piece, giving it a more uniform look. Now with any redesign, there's going to be a little growth involved in referring to the overall numbers. Now the wheelbase has stayed the same at 108.3 inches, with the overall length gaining about 1.5 inches, measuring about 189 inches overall. Now the width and the height have gained a little bit, with the overhangs in the front and the rear actually the only thing being diminished. Now when you look at overall weight, we've actually only gained about 100 pounds, putting this vehicle in the mid 3,600 pound range. Now lastly is the wheel choice. This one coming standard with 18-inch wheels, with the base model coming standard with 17. Now to sweep around to the back of the Legacy, it's one of the most important aspects on any midsize sedan is the cargo area. Now the best part about 2015, there's actually been a slight increase. Now before we dive into that, one thing to note is the kind of the new headlight assembly. Now it still looks the same on the outside, but it's the LED lights on the inside, that low consumption, that really enhances this look. They've actually enhanced the headlights just the same. Now as swing around here, we always talk about the proximity entry, the smart key system, and really on this vehicle, it's the most intuitive one we found. The best part about it really being able to walk up to this car and it knows you're there, unlocking all the doors with one pull of the handle. Now once we get back here, you can either pop the rear trunk with the key fob or simply press the electronic release right here. Now once it opens, this is one of the key features I look at on any trunk space, really the vast opening that you see here. Now with a lot of the redesigns on a lot of midsize sedans, they're really sculpting it here and minimizing this ease of access. Now here we're looking at about 15 cubic feet of space, an increase from previous year from 14.7. Now once you dive in here, it's going to be typical midsize sedan, really cavernous, everything kind of sliding into place. Now under the floor is one of the best features I like, with this kind of foam insert, allowing you to place items in here, something you're going to keep in the car all the time. Now one last great feature, of course, is the full-size spare tucked down low, giving you kind of that ease of mind should you get a flat. Now with the slight increase on the outside is going to be just the same here on the inside numbers. Now by the legroom, you're looking at about 42.9 inches of legroom up front, just a tick away from last year's 43. Now in the back there is a better increase, that one going just a couple clicks more than last year, measuring just over 38 inches. And that is kind of the most important aspect, really delivering legroom numbers across the entire portion of this vehicle. Now for 2015, there are a lot of subtle changes on this vehicle, but one that's not so subtle is right here on the dash and the huge entertainment system. Now prior to this year, what you had is a huge LCD screen up above and some Boeing 747 like buttons down below, and the vents kind of positioned on each side. Now obviously they've totally redesigned that here for 2015, really streamlining it under the kind of this one glass panel. Now what you're going to have is a lot more user friendly, this touchscreen system with kind of these oversized like buttons, really allow you to navigate what you're looking for with ease. Now as you sweep down, you're going to kind of find a similar dual climate controls like we had last year, but again they simplified it. Got the heated seats on both sides, digital display for the temperature, and really minimal like buttons that make this whole process so much simpler and the dash so much sleeker. One area I'm always looking for is kind of that driver information system like you see here between the huge tachometer and speedometer. Now this system allows you to kind of integrate systems, see the information as you're going down the road. Now I typically leave it on that digital speedometer display, but if I need to get more information, I can simply toggle through it, giving you a compass, fuel economy, and other settings, and really at a glance down from your steering wheel. Now as you sweep around, of course you see the oversized speedometer, something that maybe is just a little too off off to the right to really get my attention. As you look at the steering wheel, you're going to find the typical cruise control on the right side, but as you sweep over to the other side, well, that might be a slight learning curve, as the volume and radio settings are a little bit different than you're going to find on other vehicles. Now, once you kind of get this whole cluster kind of figured out, it's not that hard to use. This is an all-wheel drive system, so that you're going to have a little bit of sport behind the wheel. Now, this does come standard with the automatic transmission, but it does have that manual-like mode with the corresponding paddle shifters. Now, we didn't use this a lot, but when we did, it really added to that boot, scoot, and boogie you'd expect on a vehicle like this. One of the best features has to be safety, with this vehicle coming with blind spot awareness as you're going down the road and even when you're backing up. Now, I found the system to be ultra sensitive, really sensing people walking behind me, cars coming up the way, long before I even saw it. Now, this is crucial and will literally warn you with an audible sound and blinking lights on your mirrors, really kind of giving you a heads up long before you ever know it. With any vehicle, you really got to have function just as much as form, and you're going to find it up here between the front passenger and driver. Now, the most notable is this kind of oversized console that doubles as nice arm support and storage. Now, once it's open, you're going to find a nice, decent cavern and a power supply to boot. Now, what I like is these little channels that allow the cords to kind of extend out, allowing you to leave your phone out here and the cords tucked inside. Now, as you sweep, you're going to find typical dual cup holders right here, and you'll find some cup holders in the doors just the same. Now, you find another nice niche for some more coins. Now, as you look up here, you're going to find a huge kind of storage up here. Now, what that's helpful for is those electronic devices. Now, phones keep getting bigger and bigger, and this is going to house most of them real easy. Now, what you're going to find up there is another power supply and 2 USB connections. With any redesign, of course, you're looking at making enhancements, making changes, but one area that didn't change was right here under the hood. Now, this is a limited model, so it comes with more horsepower, specifically the 3.6 boxer engine that delivers 256 horses and 247 foot-pounds of torque. Now, the engine is coupled with a continuous variable transmission with that 6-speed manual-like mode. Now, all that combined with the all-wheel drive system really means you can get off the line. Now, last but not least is aerodynamics. We already talked about kind of the new window design, but we have to talk about that automatic grille shutter. Now, what that does is automatically shut down, preventing airflow underneath the vehicle, and actually directs it right over the top. That does it for this edition of Road Warrior. Now, test drive behind the wheel the 2015 Subaru Legacy, kind of a redesign that kind of rethinks the midsize sedan market. Now, there are a lot of great features in this vehicle, the most prominent being that dash and that new entertainment system, really giving kind of a sleek approach to the overall design. Now, again, I'd like to thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior, and as always, keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.